This video, I'm gonna show you how to modify and restructure the Tilta float pendulum. This is the Tilta float pendulum. It has a limited weight. In their website, they state that it support for the lightweight camera package. First of all, to modify and restructure the whole thing, you're gonna unscrew and take out all the parts. Keep this for later use. This is the counterweight, which is 220 grams. It has a quarter 20 female and a male screw thread. Next, we're gonna take out all the counterweight. And we unscrew everything which is attaching the main piece, the square piece. We keep this for later usage. And be careful of these two screws. If you found that it is very difficult to take it off, it is because they already put the thread lock adhesive on the glue. If you found that it is very difficult to take it off, don't hesitate to use a torch to burn the screw a little bit to make sure the thread lock adhesive is melt, and in that way it is easy for you to disassemble it. Okay, we keep this for later use. Same goes to the other end. We unscrewed it. Okay, now everything seems unscrewed. Next, we're gonna take off the original stock screw from the package and we replace it with the quarter 20 screw. While you're observing this plate, this piece of metal is actually a two screw thread, which is previously for you to screw the counterweight. Now, we change the metal plate which holding the pendulum, or the metal plate itself, we attaching to here. And the first time I realized the quarter 20 screw is very hard to get into this hole. You might need to file a bit and then to let the screw, quarter 20 screw, to pass through. And then we screw this metal plate to the side. Once you screw it tight, you will realize there will be a minor free play. Don't worry. If you found that you have this problem, you unscrewed it and then you make sure the screw is more shorter, which you can file it or trim it or grind it to make it shorter, which is fit nicely to the side. Okay, let me screw tighter. Now the free plate is reduced and it still can have a full rotation 360 degrees smoothly without any free plate. Same goes to the other end. put the screw inside. Insert the screw to the metal plate. You realize after you screw the quarter 20 all the way inside, it has a smooth free rotation. If not, you're gonna trim or grind or sand or file the hole slightly a little bit. Make sure you file it bit by bit. After that, same goes to the previous plate. You lock it to each of the end, and then there is some free plate over here. As I said just now, you have a choice to trim the screw shorter a little bit or file it off a little bit. Make sure don't damage the screw thread. After you trim it, the screw should be locked tight to the square metal plate without any free play. Okay, it still have slightly free plate. Now mine, just lock a bit tighter. Now both screw is tight enough to hold it and they won't unscrew easily. There's no more free plate for each metal plate, and both metal plate can rotate freely in 360 degrees. Now you can start to attach your counterweight. You can use the 220 gram counterweight attached right at this metal plate. I'm using a shorter quarter 20 screw. I can screw both at the end. If you notice the weight is not enough to hold your camera system on the Steadicam, you can attach another counterweight at the end, but it will look a bit more wider or longer. For my choice, I would prefer to recycle and use the original Pendulum metal plate. I divide it 3 pieces at each side. You can stack it together and get any screw with a washer at the end. Just put it inside. Get a nut and screw it. Same goes to the other end. If you still found that it is not enough weight which balancing your pendulum or your Steadicam on the bottom of your slate, you also can add another counterweight as you prefer. This is the old counterweight which is I'm using on my fly cam previously. I'm gonna attach it like so. Make sure it sits nicely and tight. And also make sure it is straight to the metal plate. Same goes to the other end. Get a screw with the washer, insert to the metal hole. Now you attach your counterweight. based on your camera heaviness, based on your camera heavy weight, depends how heavy is your camera or your Steadicam setup. Screw it tight and make sure it is straight to the alignment. It is straight. Okay. Now, this is the part you're gonna need to attach to the Steadicam, the bottom of the Steadicam sled. You realize that there is a hole over here. You have a choice to insert a 15mm rod inside and screw it at the bottom. In my case, I only have the 100mm long and with the 3/8 screw, the male on the top and the female at the bottom. I'm gonna convert it to the quarter screw thread. Now it is in quarter 20 screw thread. Insert the rod to the hole and then you get a quarter 20 screw and screw at the bottom. It will look like this. Now you can attach this part to your Steadicam or the bottom of your sled. Because this is the single rod system, it will easily unscrew when the camera rotates in the anti-clockwise. When the pendulum is rotating at the anti-clockwise, this part is easily unscrewed and everything is not in precise tuning or setting. So I have another setup. This plate is so versatile because there's a lot of hole and screw thread for you to customize your own preference. Unscrew everything from the square metal plate and we redo the pendulum holding part on top here. Now, for my preference, I would like to have a 3/8 female to quarter 20-inch adapter. I screw it on top of my 15mm rail, the metal rod, and I screw the 3/8 to the bottom of the 15mm rod. I unscrew the converter previously, which I inserted to convert to quarter, and now I adding this adapter to make the rod longer by 1 inch, half inch at the side, at both ends. Now I attach the two rod which I've prepared and attach to the square metal plate. You have two choices. You can attach it left and right, but I found that I am happy to attach it front and back. The reason why, because I like to keep everything at the center, right at the center. The reason is, once we tilt or rotate the Steadicam, this rod will be gonna appear in one line, and then we reduce the space from the counterweight between the rod. Dual rod system are more stable and not easy to unscrew it, and you will get a balanced and precise tuning or setting later on. Now, how is it going to attach to the bottom of the Steadicam? And not only that, you will realize after I adding the adapter, this rod will be longer, which means if I mount to the bottom of the Steadicam, both of these counterweight never block my weight. Now, I am adding the NATO reel, which is previously dismantled from the package itself. I found that two of these 1/4 20-inch screw is positioned at the same hole at the bottom, because we are only expanded the rod itself. We never shift the thread hole itself. So now it's able to let us to screw the 1/4 20-inch. Secure it, make it tight and firm. Now it is secured tight and firm, sitting on top of the pendulum. Now you found that this is more slightly longer a bit, so of course it will never block the counterweight when this pendulum rotates in 360 degrees. Next, let me introduce you the NATO reel with the NATO clamp. This is the NATO clamp. I found it on the internet from Taobao. It's a NATO clamp with the NATO reel on top, which means you can attach unlimited layer of NATO clamp. You can easily attach the clamp at the bottom. This clamp in charge of moving forward and backward. The other clamp let me have a ability to move it left or right. Of course, when this pendulum is mounted right in front, right at the center of the slate, and then what you're gonna adjust is just a slightly fine-tune on the x-axis, on the y-axis or the x-axis. For my own preference, I'm gonna use only one of this NATO clamp with the rail, because Ronin RS2 provides us with a more nicer NATO clamp. Why I said so? Because I noticed that this NATO clamp has a center crafted 1/4 20 hole right at the center. The aftermarket of the third party have a slightly offset thread, so we cannot make sure the hole sits right at the middle. For the first layer, I can use this NATO clamp and the NATO reel. stack it at the first layer, and then the other end I attach to the Steadicam, the bottom of the Steadicam or the sled itself, right at the center. Then now I extend 1 inch higher. This is perfect for the clearance when the pendulum is rotating. This is not the end. If you would like to attach this counterweight, you also can attach at the bottom of the pendulum. That's why the pendulum from Tilta float is very versatile if you know how to dismantle and restructure it. You found that it will be more useful than you think. This is the end.